Welcome back to our channel where we love nothing more than gathering around to talk about the latest happenings in our favorite town. Today is a beautiful day to sit back, pour a fresh cup of coffee, and dive into some truly wild gossip that has been brewing. I have to tell you, my heart just about stopped when I heard the latest news coming out of Port Charles, and I reckon yours will too. The very idea that poor Drew Kane, a man already bound to a wheelchair and struggling to find his footing, somehow managed to roll right down a steep hill and take a massive plunge into the lake is enough to make anyone gasp. It is the kind of shocking event that ripples through a town faster than a summer thunderstorm, leaving everyone drenched in confusion and pointing fingers in every direction. When I first caught wind of this terrible incident, I could vividly picture the absolute chaos at the Quartermain estate. I could see the panic in the eyes of his loved ones, the frantic rush to the water, and the sheer vulnerability of a man trapped in a heavy wheelchair sinking into the cold lake. It is a terrifying image, and frankly, it just does not sit right with my spirit. I know in my bones that wheelchairs do not just sprout a mind of their own and go launching themselves off boat docks. Somebody gave that chair a push, and the mystery of who did it is stirring up a hornet's nest of epic proportions. Now, it seems like folks around town are quick to jump to the most obvious conclusion, bless their hearts. Almost everyone, from Alexis Davis to young Trina Robinson and Kai Taylor, has firmly decided that Willow Kane is the guilty party. They all seem convinced that Willow has finally snapped and tried to finish Drew off once and for all. I suppose it is easy to understand why they might think that, given the tangled history and the bad blood that has spilled over in the past. It is human nature to look at the person who has caused trouble before and assume they are up to their old tricks again. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes the most obvious answer is nothing but a smokescreen. In my time watching these families grow, love, and betray one another, I have learned that the real truth is usually hiding quietly in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. And this time, it looks like Willow is completely innocent. She is just the convenient scapegoat in a much darker game being played right under everyone's noses. The real story, the one that gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, centers around Nina Reeves. We all know Nina has a history of making questionable choices, but this situation feels entirely different. From what I have gathered, when Scout and the other youngsters left the boathouse that fateful day, they left Drew in the sole company of Nina. She was supposed to be the responsible adult. She was supposed to safely guide him back to the main house. Yet, somehow Drew ends up taking a dangerous dive into the water, and Nina is the only one who can truly answer for those missing moments. When I think about Nina standing there on the edge of that dock, watching that chair roll away, a chill runs right down my spine. She has always been a master at twisting the truth to suit her needs, but leaving a helpless man to drown is a line I never thought she would cross so boldly. What makes this whole situation so incredibly fascinating to me is who exactly is putting the pieces of this puzzle together. It is not the local police, and it is not the seasoned detectives of Port Charles. No, it is the children who are stepping up to the plate, and that is a testament to how deeply the sins of the parents affect the next generation. Charlotte Cassadine, a young lady who has grown up way too fast, is not buying the town's theory about Willow for a single second. I have always had a soft spot for Charlotte. I remember when she was just a sweet little girl, looking for love and stability. But life in that town has a way of hardening a person. Charlotte knows Nina better than most, having once viewed her as a beloved stepmother. But that bond was shattered into a million pieces when Nina callously tried to use Charlotte as a pawn to trap her own father, Valentine Cassadine. You do not just forgive and forget something like that. A mother figure is supposed to nurture and protect, not manipulate a child's innocent love for a grand scheme. I can only imagine the deep simmering resentment that has been building inside Charlotte's heart ever since that betrayal. Charlotte was not even at the boathouse when the terrible incident occurred, but in a town like Port Charles, secrets have a way of traveling on the wind. I can just picture her sitting down for a quiet chat with Danny Morgan, piecing together the timeline of that afternoon. Danny, innocent as can be, likely mentioned how Scout went for a swim and how everyone left Nina alone with Drew. I can almost see the light bulb going off in Charlotte's mind. She is a smart girl, sharp as a tack, and she knows exactly what Nina is capable of doing when she feels cornered or vengeful. Charlotte's intuition is telling her that Nina is the snake in the grass, and honestly, I am entirely inclined to agree with her. But Charlotte is not walking this path of discovery alone, and this is where the story gets truly spectacular. Enter young Scout Kane. This poor girl has been through the ringer, losing her mother, Sam McCall, and now having to witness her father being targeted in such a vicious, cowardly manner. When a child sees their parent hurt, something primal wakes up inside of them. Scout is not just going to sit back and cry into her pillow. She is looking for payback. She wants to find the person who hurt her father and make them suffer. And while she might seem like a sweet Quartermain on the surface, we cannot forget the incredibly potent blood that runs through her veins. This brings me to a realization that absolutely blew my mind. I was sitting on my porch thinking about these two girls when it hit me like a ton of bricks. Both of them are carrying the heavy, dark legacy of the Cassadine family. Scout gets it honestly through her mother, Sam, who is the daughter of Alexis Davis, making Scout the great-granddaughter of the infamous Mikos Cassadine. Charlotte, on the other hand, gets her fierce Cassadine pride from her father, Valentine, making her the granddaughter of the ruthless Victor Cassadine. These two young women share a bloodline that is famous for its brilliance, its wealth, and its absolute, unwavering dedication to revenge. The Cassadines do not forgive, and they certainly do not forget. When you put Charlotte and Scout together, you are not just looking at two upset teenagers, you are looking at a brand new generation of Cassadine power preparing to unleash a storm. I can see them forming a secret, unexpected alliance, bonding over their shared grief and their mutual understanding of what it means to be betrayed. They are thick as thieves now, whispering in the corners of the Quartermain mansion, drawing up plans that would make their ancestors proud. It is both thrilling and a little bit terrifying to witness. You want to protect these girls from going down such a dark path, but at the same time, you cannot help but cheer them on as they prepare to serve Nina a heaping plate of her own medicine. I find myself thinking back to when Charlotte was just a little thing living at Windermere. Do you remember how absolutely terrified she was of that imposing portrait of her great-grandmother, Helena Cassadine? That painting hung on the wall like a bad omen, its cold eyes following her every move. Valentine, being the protective father he was, finally took it down to give his daughter some peace. And thank goodness he did, considering the wild journey that painting went on. Nicholas fought tooth and nail for it, only for everyone to discover it contained a hidden codicil to Mickus's will. The whole thing ended in a fiery explosion at Ava Jerome's gallery, burning to ash. But the irony of it all is so thick you could cut it with a knife. The little girl who used to cry at the sight of Helena is now growing up to be the very spitting image of her. Charlotte is calculating, patient, and completely unafraid to play a dangerous game. She is channeling Helena's spirit not through a spooky painting, but through her own actions. Nina Reeves has absolutely no idea what is fixing to hit her. She is probably walking around town, thinking she has gotten away with her terrible deed, believing that everyone is too busy pointing fingers at Willow to notice her own guilty hands. But she is severely underestimating the intelligence and the wrath of these young Cassadine women. Nina thought she could play God with Drew's life, just like she thought she could play games with Valentine's freedom. She is about to learn a very hard lesson about what happens when you poke a sleeping bear, or in this case, a family of scorpions. I am eagerly waiting to see how this brilliant revenge plot unfolds. Will they expose Nina publicly, stripping away her carefully crafted facade for all of Port Charles to see? Or will they take a more subtle, psychological approach, driving Nina to the brink of madness until she confesses her sins? Whatever they choose to do, I know it is going to be a masterclass in vengeance. The adults in this town have spent years bickering and making messes, but it looks like it is going to take the sheer willpower of two teenage girls to finally clean house and deliver some real justice. As I sit here and reflect on all of this, I feel a deep sense of anticipation. We have watched these families endure so much heartbreak, so many lies, and so many tragic accidents. But seeing the youth step up, claiming their power, and refusing to be victims brings a whole new energy to the story. I just hope that in their quest to destroy Nina, Charlotte and Scout manage to hold on to a little piece of their own souls. Revenge is a bitter pill, even when it is justified. But for now, I am firmly on their side, watching their every move with bated breath, ready to see the mighty Nina Reeves finally face the consequences of her actions.